universal form of the Lord. And that is going to clear all our doubts in one shot. Very nice chapters. So, okay, we'll start. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnana Shalakya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutalesh Jatap Swamanati Namni Namachari Padaya Nata Kripa Padayani Gaurakata Damdaya Ram Tarni Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutalesh Nati Bhaktanta Swamanati Namni Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharni Nirvisesh Sunyavadi Paschat Deshtarni Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay. Next slide. Yeah, the universal form. Okay. In the Bhagavad Gita, 11th chapter, okay, in the last verse of chapter 10, Krishna says that he pervades and supports the entire universe as in his Paramatma feature. So, Arjuna wants to see that all-pervasive form of Krishna's, because nothing is impersonal in, Krishna's this thing. If he is pervaded everywhere, to show that how he is still a person, he wanted to see his universal form. Although Krishna is driving Arjuna's chariot, he supports and pervades the entire universe. So that is an amazing thing. And so after because people get bewildered, how is he all pervading? I mean, people may doubt if he is they see him just as an ordinary human being. He's driving Arjuna's chariot and he claims to pervade the whole universe. So for the sake of others, Arjuna is asking him to show the universal form. So after 2 introductory verses, Arjuna asks Krishna to reveal his universal form. Krishna proves himself as the Supreme Lord and establishes the criterion that anyone who claims to be God must also show a universal form. Okay, please go to the next slide. So verses 1 to 13. So because of Krishna's instructions in the previous chapters, Krishna says, my illusion is completely dispelled. That means all his illusion about, about his duty, about this material world, his identity, everything. Krishna has shown him that he is the soul and who is the Paramatma. All his instructions is completely dispelled. His illusion. He has realized the inexhaustible glories of Krishna. He is satisfied to see his personal form, but requests to see the universal form so that others also may be fully convinced. So a devotee is not interested in seeing universal form because the universal form just displays his opulences. Whereas the devotee has a very loving relationship with Krishna. And so he doesn't want to, that is why, especially in Vrindavan and all, there is no Aishwarya, this thing, bhav at all. Everything is very sweet. Krishna is not revealing his opulences so that his devotee may interact with him very informally. So Arjuna is one such devotee who's like a friend, very close friend of Krishna's, but still he's asking for our sake. Arjuna does not command, but requests to see Krishna's universal form. Arjuna displays humility. Krishna shows his universal form and gives divine eyes to Arjuna to see this form. While sitting on the chariot with Krishna, Arjuna could see the unlimited expansions of the universe situated in one place. Okay, next. Arjuna's illusion is over and he understands Krishna as the source of everything. Source of the appearance and disappearance of the material world. Yes. So he understands him as to be the source of the appearance and disappearance of the material world. But he wanted to know the detail, in detail, of Krishna's glories in chapter 10. But Krishna gave only 82 examples of his opulences. So Arjuna wants to see in detail his form that has entered the cosmic manifestation. He's not satisfied. 82, he just gave a sample of his opulences, but Krishna wants more details about him. And so he wants to see it directly. He said, okay, show me your cosmic manifestation. So that to convince others of his divinity, not for himself. He is convinced Krishna is the supreme. So criteria also for future incarnations. So many avatars are there. They claim that people say that he is God and he himself advertises himself. So then show your Vishwaroop like Krishna did. That is the criteria. So okay, the text 1, he says, Arjuna said, by my hearing the instructions you've kindly given me about these most confidential spiritual subjects, my illusion has now been dispelled. And, O lotus-eyed one, I've heard from you in detail about the appearance and disappearance of every living entity, and have realized your inexhaustible glories. So Krishna says how the manifestation occurs, and then in every millennium it's created, and then again it is annihilated. All these things he has heard, and so now his illusions are completely dispelled. Okay, next. Arjuna's humility. Arjuna is not proud, admits his limitations as a living entity in not understanding Krishna or in the ability to see his form, the universal form. So I think the other slide should come. Go to the next slide. After this, okay. Okay, yeah. Okay, go to the previous slide, the third slide. No, before this. Yes, Arjuna's humility. So Arjuna has requested him to show him the universal form, the all-pervading form. So Arjuna is not proud. He admits his limitations as a living entity, not understanding Krishna or in the ability to see this universal form. But he does not order Krishna, but begs for Krishna's mercy to see the universal form. See, many people who are a little atheistic or materialistic, they say, where is God? I want to see God, then only I will believe in him. But that is now not how we can see God. He is not any, nobody can order him. So Arjuna, even though he's such a close friend of Krishna's, he's begging him. And Arjuna calls Krishna Yogeshwara, the master of all mystic power. So he can enable him to see the universal form only by his mercy. Krishna is not obliged to reveal himself unless one surrenders fully in Krishna consciousness and engages in devotional service. So Arjuna, how he says, if you think that I am able to behold your cosmic form, O my Lord, O master of all mystic power, then kindly show me that unlimited universal self. So everything we have to leave it to Krishna's decision. We may request Krishna something. Krishna, can I have this if you so desire? So here Arjuna is saying, if you think I can see this, if that I'm able to behold your cosmic form, then kindly show me that unlimited universal self. This is the humility that we have to get, that we, my voice is not audible. Yes.
Mataji, it is good.
Okay. So unless one surrenders fully in Krishna consciousness and engages in devotional service, we cannot understand Krishna, because he reveals himself in our heart. It is not through through our senses or our mind that we can understand Krishna. We cannot see Krishna with our just gross eyes, or through our mind imagine him, but only through spiritual senses, and those are awakened only when we do devotional service. Yes, next slide. Next slide, please. So Krishna shows his transcendental form to him. It is transcendental but temporary. Because why is it temporary? It happens only when the material manifestation occurs. When it's created, then Krishna has his universal form. And when it is annihilated, the universal form does not exist, but it is transcendental. So Arjuna gets the divine vision to see, and Lord displays his universal form. So you can see he's just sitting in the chariot and seeing everything. Okay. Next slide. So unlimited expansions. What does he see in that form? Hundreds and thousands of varied, divine and multicolored forms. And all the great devatas, that is the Adityas, the Vasus, the Rudras, Ashwini Kumaras and others, and unlimited living beings from different planetary systems, all are part of his body, universal form. Never before seen or heard of before. So this form, which was shown to Arjuna, was never shown to anyone before. When Krishna went to meet Duryodhana in order to, have some kind of a, mediation, he acted as a mediator. He went there, and that time, just to impress Duryodhana about himself, he showed some partial universal form, but that was not like this. And Duryodhana and Karna thought that they will. Duryodhana didn't believe he was God. He thought, oh, he's just having some mystic power. That's all. Like me, I also have. Krishna has some mystic powers, and they try to, bind Krishna and put him in the jail. But it didn't work. You cannot bind Krishna. Only with love, Mother Yashoda could bind him. Okay. Transcendental does not mean eternal. Transcendental means spiritual. So because matter comes from Krishna only, matter is also transcendental because it is part of Krishna. But only when the matter manifested, then his universal form can be seen. So past, present and future, Arjuna could see sitting in one place. 11.7. Oh Arjuna, whatever you wish to see, behold at once in this body of mine. This universal form can show you whatever you now desire to see, and whatever you may want to see in the future. Everything moving and non-moving is here completely in one place. So everything that exists was there. And Krishna gives Arjuna divine eyes to see the universal form as Arjuna form as he is used to only tasting the sweet personal form of Krishna. Arjuna is only, why does he need divine eyes? If he is able to see Krishna's two-armed form, which is more difficult to see, because only pure devotees can see this, two-handed form. And Arjuna is already saying that, why can't he see the universal form? That is because Arjuna's eyes are used to tasting only the sweet personal form of Krishna. So he is giving him another kind of vision to see this universal form. Yes, next slide. Arjuna's vision of the universal form. He says, oh, unlimited mouths, eyes, and wonderful visions. This is Sanjaya describing it to Dhritarashtra. So Sanjaya also got the divine vision to see it. And so he's describing to Dhritarashtra. Unlimited mouths, eyes, and wonderful visions, decorated with many celestial ornaments, many divine upraised weapons, celestial garlands and ornaments, divine scents smeared over his body, brilliant as hundreds and thousands of suns, unlimited expansions of the universe situated in one place, although divided into many, many thousands. Now, That's okay. You can see that form. Yeah. Next slide. Okay, so he is so then now Arjuna is describing, telling Krishna, or Arjuna is astonished, 14 to 31, Arjuna is astonished to see the universal form. And that astonishment changes from friendship. Astonishment is one of the secondary rasas with Krishna. Hesitatingly describes all what he sees to Krishna. He first sees all of existence, immeasurable and radiant, situated in one place. Then he begins to see Krishna's frightening, all destructive Kala Rupa. Krishna only promised to show him all the beautiful things, but now he's seeing the Kala Rupa, the form that was eating soldiers on both sides. Arjuna sees the future outcome of the battle, asks the universal form who he is and what is his mission. Yes, next slide. So, when he sees this universal form, then his relationship changes from astonished with wonder rather than the mood of loving friendship, bows down and prays to the Lord, and form spread throughout the. So he's describing to Krishna, oh, I see like this, the form spread throughout the sky, numberless arms, sun and moon are his eyes, blazing fire from mouth, burning this universe and all people. And all the devatas are seeing it, but disturbed, surrendering and entering into him. And, they were disturbed by seeing this, and they also see many people surrendering and entering into him. This is the Krishna's all destructive Kala Rupa. 1 minute. Yes. Go to the next one. Next slide. Forms spread throughout the sky. So he said, forms of all the demigods and various other living entities he sees. So he is describing Brahma sitting on the lotus flower and Lord Shiva. This is in the topmost planetary system. Brahma is in the Brahmaloka and Shiva also in the Kailas, and also in the heavenly planets there is another Kailas. So he sees that. And he sees all the sages also over there in the upper planetary systems, and he sees divine serpents. Divine serpents are found in Patala Loka, the Vasuki, so many Nagas, and they are also the serpent bed of Vishnu, so Garbhodakshai Vishnu. So he's seeing on top as well as below. He's seeing the entire universe spread across the sky. Many arms, bellies, mouths, and eyes expanded everywhere without limit, glaringly effulgent and difficult to see, but sees the form everywhere, adorned with crowns, clubs, and discs. Arjuna describes the immeasurable, the supreme primal objective. So he is immeasurable. The Lord is just infinite. So many bodies just coming out, expanded from his form. So he says, the supreme primal objective. He's the objective of everyone, ultimate resting place of all this universe, because he has only created everything. And so he is the resting place of all the universe, inexhaustible. And he is just, it can never finishes. So ever existing and the oldest, because he is the first being, maintainer of the eternal religion and the personality of God. At 11.18, he describes them. You are the supreme primal objective. You are the ultimate resting place of all this universe. You are inexhaustible and you are the oldest. You are the maintainer of eternal religion, the personality of God. And this is my opinion. Okay. Next. And then he says, he then, changes. Then he sees the Kala Rupa, and he describes that also. Without origin, middle, and end, numberless arms, sun and moon as his eyes, blazing fire coming from his mouth, burning the entire universe with his radiance. The form is spread throughout the sky, all planets and space between. So everywhere, it is spread throughout the universe. And others who saw this form in other planetary systems also perturbed. So it is not only Arjuna, in the battlefield, only Arjuna was given this vision. But in the other planetary systems, so many people who also were qualified, then Krishna gave them also the vision to see the universal form. And they're also disturbed to see this Kala Rupa, all devatas, sages, and perfected beings, fearful and offering prayers. Rudras, Adityas, Vasuds, Sadhyas, Vishvedevas, Ashwini Kumaras, Maruts, Pitas, Gandharvas, Yakshas, Asuras, and perfected devatas, all watching this form in wonder. So yesterday somebody was asking, who are the yakshas? What is the difference between yakshas, asuras, rakshasas, and so on? So yakshas are actually, they are in the Bhur Loka, and also they are, they have magic and all that, and their head is, of course, Kubera, and they also are in charge of, base of a tree and natural things. That's why sometimes you see yakshas are guarding lakes. Yudhishthira also wanted to drink water from a lake, but the yaksha, he had to answer the questions of a yaksha. So some of them are good, but sometimes they can also be very cruel. And we know that Dhruva Maharaja, his brother, was killed by the yakshas, and then Dhruva Maharaja really fought with them. So the army of Kubera are the yakshas, and on the other hand, asuras, we know, are in the lower planetary systems, and they are Daityas and Danavas. The Adityas are the sons of Aditi, and Daityas are the son of Diti, and Danavas the son of Dhanu. All of them are sisters of and daughters of Daksha, married to Kashyapa Muni. And the Rakshasas, they are actually, they are below the Bhur Loka, and they were created, they are against humans, and they eat blood, and and they eat the flesh and all that. And actually, they were created when Brahma was sleeping in the night, and then suddenly from his body these Rakshasas came, and they started devouring his body. And Brahma woke up, and he got so frightened, and he starts, Raksha Mam, he screamed, and Vishnu came, and then he saved him. And because he said Raksha Mam, they were called Rakshasas. And so they are below this Bhur Loka, and they are against humans. They eat the blood. But some Rakshasas are good also, like Hidimba, who was wife of this one, Bhima. Bhima married Hidimba, and a son, Ghattotkacha. They are also Rakshasas, but they are good. So not that always all Rakshasas are bad. Okay. Yes. Next slide. And all of them were watching this. Okay, Arjuna's description of the Kala Rupa: many faces, eyes, arms, thighs, legs, and bellies, many terrible teeth, many radiant colors touching the sky, gaping mouths, great glowing eyes. Arjuna is also afraid, like the others, seeing this form, not able to maintain his balance of body and mind. You can imagine how terrible it must have looked, especially in the beginning. Okay, he was watching with wonder, but that wonder converts to fear when he shows this horrible form, where he's, glowing eyes and gaping mouth. And then, so he'll further describe what all he sees. And so he's not able to balance. He loses his balance of body and mind. Yes. Next slide. All of Duryodhana's army and Pandava's chief soldiers also rushing into his fearful mouths. He sees, and then some smashed between his teeth, and they're flowing like rivers. The warriors are entering into his blazing mouth. All these warriors and all people like moths dashing into fire, entering his mouth. So the two analogies used here, like rivers flowing into ocean. So the rivers naturally flow. And then moths also, they dash into the fire. They know that they are going to be killed, and still they go there towards their death, like that. And the rivers also, once they fall into the ocean, they are merged. They no longer have their individuality, and yet they just flow towards that, their death. So like that, they were just, because of their asuric nature, they were flowing into their mouth towards their imminent death, with flaming mouths and scorching rays, devouring all people. Arjuna sees the outcome of the war. So he's seeing Duryodhana's army, everyone, Duryodhana's, especially all Duryodhana and all the chief people in the Kaurava army, and also Pandava's chief soldiers also rushing, both sides rushing into his mouths. So Arjuna offers obeisances and begs to know the Lord's identity and mission. Who are you? He asks. And what is your mission? Okay. Yes. Next slide. Verses 32 to 44. Krishna explains his form as time, destroyer of all the worlds. Krishna has already put to death all the great warriors of the Kauravas as well as the Pandavas, except the Pandavas. Requests Arjuna to become his instrument and fight. Arjuna, trembling, prays to the universal form, begs forgiveness for treating him as his friend in the past out of ignorance. Okay, next slide. So Krishna, so we saw in the last section, Arjuna is asking, who are you and what is your mission? So Krishna says, I am time, the great destroyer of the worlds. And I have come to destroy all the soldiers on both sides except the Pandavas. And Krishna asks, Arjuna to fight and be an instrument and get the credit. So all in these verses, Krishna asks them, the question and the answer. Arjuna says, O Lord of Lords, so fierce of form, please tell me who you are. I offer my obeisances unto you. Please be gracious to me. You are the primal Lord. I want to know about you, for I do not know what your mission is. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, time I am, the great destroyer of the worlds, and I have come here to destroy all people, with the exception of you, the Pandavas. All the soldiers here on both sides will be slain. And then he says in 33, therefore, get up, prepare to fight and win glory, conquer your enemies and enjoy a flourishing kingdom. They're already put to death by my arrangement, and you, O Sabyasachi, can be but an instrument in the fight. Sabyasachi is the name of Arjuna, which means who is very expert at throwing arrows, and also it means that he's ambidextrous. He can fight with both his hands. So he is saying that even though I will win, not because of your expertise in fighting, with a bow and arrow, it is because of I have already put them to death. That is why you're going to win. So, but you, my arrangement, and you, O Sabyasachi, can be but an instrument in the fight. So Krishna asks, and 11.34, Drona, Bhishma, Jayadratha, Karna, and other great warriors have already been destroyed by me. Therefore, kill them and do not be disturbed. Simply fight, and you will vanquish your enemies in the battle. So he's even saying Bhishma is going to be destroyed, because that was, nobody thought Bhishma can be. He was the greatest of generals. So Krishna is saying even he is going to be killed. Krishna has decided, and so he said, I have already put them to death, and you simply have to be an instrument. That's all, fulfilling that. All great warriors already destroyed by Krishna. Arjuna was asked to kill and not be disturbed and vanquish his enemies. So Krishna is telling, don't be disturbed. Because, especially, why will he be disturbed? Because of Drona and Bhishma. And Krishna is saying, they were the ones who kept quiet when Draupadi was being disrobed in the in the palace, in the court. Then they kept quiet. They didn't protest. The only one who protested was Vidura. The others kept quiet. And of course, Duryodhana's brother, what was his name? He also didn't like what they are doing. He said, why should you do like this? He also raised some objections. But apart from that, all these big, the top people, Dhritarashtra, Vikarna also was against this. But but all others, the top people, the Bhishma and Dhritarashtra, all of them just kept quiet. Dronacharya. So anyway, they had to pay the price and they were going to be killed. And so Arjuna was asked, don't be disturbed because of that and vanquish the enemies. Okay, next. So we get some lessons from this Krishna's statements. So creation and destruction under Krishna's plan. He has decided who's going to die, not accidental, like what the scientists believe. Ignorant of Krishna's plan because they don't know what is Krishna's plan. Why is this birth and death happening? To bring conditioned souls back to Godhead. That is his idea. Whatever Krishna does, it is only for that purpose, for refining us, reforming us, and slowly elevating us so that we can go back to Godhead. An intelligent person understands Krishna's plan and sees how everything moves according to his guidance. So whatever happens in our life, that's why a devotee should never be disturbed, because whatever that happens in our life is simply to make us understand Krishna, bring us closer to him, and advance in in our spiritual understanding, because that's the only auspicious thing. And although Krishna makes his plans, he wants to give credit to his devotees who carry out his plans according to his desire. So Arjuna is credited with being victorious in the war. And that is why Krishna said, I've already put them to, they are already put to death by my arrangement. And you, Sabyasachi, can be but an instrument in the fight. But first he says, therefore get up, prepare to fight and win glory. So the glory goes to the Pandavas. But actually, they got that glory only because they just followed the instructions of Krishna. And they didn't do anything independently of Krishna's plans. On the other hand, those who cannot see such a thing, they think everything is happening by chance and they get so disturbed. You can imagine how unsettling it must be when you see so many contradictions and when you see everything is happening, we go through different problems and difficulties. Unless we are Krishna conscious, we'll get bewildered. We'll think, why is all this happening to me? Okay, next slide. Arjuna's, so after he sees all this, he feels really ecstatic, because initially he was very fearful. Then because he didn't know what is the purpose of this. And that is why he asked, what is your mission? And then when Krishna explains that it is all happening because he's got a plan, then Arjuna is really amazed and he's glorifying. These prayers are really, we can see the ecstasy he feels. Oh Rishikesha, whole world is so joyous to hear of your glories. Devatas are also glorifying, but demons are fleeing because demons don't like to hear of Krishna's glories. They hate him. And so when they are also seeing this form and then they're running away. They don't want to see this. Arjuna wants everyone to offer him obeisances because he's to be worshipped by every living being. Because he's asking, why Krishna, they are not, why are these demons not, some people not offering obeisances to you? He's saying, oh great one, greater even than Brahma, you're the original creator. Why then should they not offer their respectful obeisances unto you? So, begs forgiveness for his familiarity in dealings and to tolerate him like a father, a friend, or a lover. Because actually, he says that you have many times he says, thinking of you as my friend, I have rashly addressed you, O Krishna, O Yadava, O my friend, not knowing your glories. Please forgive whatever I may have done in madness or in love. I have dishonored you many times, jesting as we relaxed, lay on the same bed, or sat or ate together, sometimes alone and sometimes in front of many friends. O infallible one, please excuse me for all those offenses. Because from a material point also, Arjuna, he was the son of the great, the Pandu who was ruling over the whole earth. And who was Krishna? His father was just a minister in Ugrasena's court. So from that standpoint also, so maybe he would have joked with him like that, oh Yadava, he says, I've called you Yadava, and so on. Oh, my friend, not knowing that when he sees the universal form, he says, oh, he is just wonderstruck. Krishna, whom I thought was just my friend. And then he's so opulent. I mean, he's just then he's begging forgiveness that I acted so familiar with you. That is Krishna's kindness. That even though he's so glorious, so opulent, so powerful, he's acting like an ordinary friend with his devotees. And so he's begging him, he's requesting him, please tolerate me like a father, friend, or lover. So this is the different kinds of relationships Krishna has. He is a father to everyone, and then he's also like a friend or a lover. So he says, please tolerate. All these relationships are very tolerant with, in relationship out of love. So he's begging him like that. Okay, next. Then this is the glorification of Krishna by Arjuna. So after he begs for forgiveness, then he is glorifying him. Oh, greater than even Brahma, limitless, God of gods, refuge of the universe. He is the God of all gods, right? All the devas. He is the source of everyone. Refuge of the whole universe. Invincible source. Is a source and, that can never be challenged. And cause of all causes. Oh, it's repeated here. Transcendental to this material manifestation. So he is, this material manifestation is this material energy. But he is transcendental to that, Krishna, original personality of Godhead. So he's got a spiritual form, and the material manifestation is material energy. Original personality of Godhead. And this material manifestation or this universal form is transcendental only because Krishna as Paramatma has entered it. That is why it is transcendental. Just material energy on its own is not transcendental. You cannot say that whatever we see, the material elements, they are not transcendental. But the universal form, which consists of all the material elements, is called transcendental because the Lord has entered in that form. Then he's the oldest, the ultimate sanctuary of this manifested cosmic world, knower of everything, and he is the only thing that is knowable, supreme refuge, and he's above the three modes. Yes, next slide. We know that. Then he says, oh, limitless form, whole, because he can see the form spread just, the entire universe is spread with this form is covering. Whole cosmic manifestation is pervaded by you. You are air, fire, water, all the elements. Why he's saying air? Because air is also all pervading. So he is also like the air. You are the supreme controller. You are Brahma, the first living creature. You are the great grandfather. So Brahma is a grandfather, and our father are the patriarchs or the Prajapatis. And then Brahma is the father of them, and Krishna is the great grandfather. Unbounded power, master of limitless might, all pervading. You are everything. You can see how he's so ecstatic and he is just glorifying Krishna. Yes, next. Father of this complete cosmic manifestation of the moving and non-moving. Yes, moving living entities and non-moving are like trees. He's the father of the entire, and then mountains and everything. He's the father of the complete manifestation. You are its worshipable chief, the supreme spiritual master, right? Krishna is the spiritual master, and especially for, he's the one spiritual master who's guiding everybody. We may have different spiritual masters, but they are only representatives of Krishna. He is only inspiring them to tell whatever guidance and this thing. So he is the supreme spiritual master. No one is equal to you or greater than you. Lord of immeasurable power, supreme Lord to be worshipped by all, infallible. And so, after glorifying him, he is paying obeisances from the front, from behind, from all sides, again and again. He's saying, paying obeisances from the front, I'm paying from behind, from all sides. Why? Out of ecstasy, out of so much, he's so happy to see the glories of his friend. And, okay. Yes, next one. Then Arjuna feels ashamed of his familiarity with Krishna. He says, thinking of Krishna as a friend, Arjuna had many times rashly addressed him by his name as Yadava, as his friend, etc. Dishonored him by jesting with him as they relaxed, joking with him like a friend, lying on the same bed, sitting and eating together, alone or with friends, like equals. He was, actually Arjuna and Krishna were same age, so and cousins. So they were like, just acting very informally, like equals, begging for his mercy to tolerate his impudence, like a father, friend, or wife tolerates. So he begs him. Yes. Next. Now, verses 45 to 55. In answer to Arjuna's fearful prayers, Krishna shows his four-armed form before him, again returning to his original two-armed form. First, he shows his four-armed form before again returning to his original two-armed form. Krishna informs Arjuna that his two-handed form is supreme and only understandable by unalloyed devotees, those who are engaged in his pure devotional service. They can only understand this two-handed form. Okay, next. Arjuna's request for seeing the four-armed form and the two-handed forms. So Arjuna is glad to see this form. He thanks him, but he says, I'm very afraid of this universal form because he cannot reciprocate with loving service. How can you talk to so many, forms, so many heads and so many and blazing mouths and all that? You don't feel endearing. You feel only fear. So Arjuna was the first one to see the universal form. So Krishna is telling him. So when Arjuna requests that please, Arjuna says, after seeing this universal form, which I have never seen before, I'm gladdened, but at the same time, my mind is disturbed with fear. Therefore, please bestow your grace upon me and reveal again your form as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, O Lord of Lords, O abode of the universe. Just imagine Arjuna, how many times he's asking Krishna to show different forms, but see his mood. And Krishna is obliging each time. And so Krishna says that, O best of the Kuru warriors, no one before you has ever seen this universal form of mine. For neither by studying the Vedas, nor by performing sacrifices, nor by charity, nor by pious activities, nor by severe penances can I be seen in this form in the material world. Yeah, 47 and 48. And before this, Krishna says, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Arjuna, happily have I shown you by my internal potency the supreme universal form within the material world. No one before you has ever seen this primal form, unlimited and full of glaring effulgence. So other devotees in disciplic succession also could see, because Krishna gave them also divine vision. So we just need to have a see. So we saw that many people, not only pure devotees, but there were other, different kinds of in the heavenly planets and asuras. So many people saw. How is it that they were able to see this universal form? Even karmis, jnanis, and all of them, they can see with a little devotion. Then it's possible to see. So they were all seeing. And then from Krishna gave them the divine vision. And now Arjuna is requesting from that 1,000-armed form, he requests to see the 4-armed form. Lord shows the 4-armed form and then his 2-armed form. Okay, so so first he shows his form as Vishnu, and then he becomes back to Krishna again. Yes, next. So then Arjuna is pacified. Seeing Krishna's two-handed human-like beautiful form, Arjuna becomes composed. Krishna's two-handed form, most confidential and attractive. So first he shows the 4-armed, and then he becomes to the 2-armed, and this is the most this original form. So Arjuna is saying, when Arjuna saw Krishna in his original form, he said, "Oh Janardana, seeing this human-like form, so very beautiful, I am now composed in mind, and I am restored to my original nature." And Krishna is telling, "Oh, my dear Arjuna, this form of mine you're now seeing is very difficult to behold. Even the demigods are ever seeking the opportunity to see this form, which is so dear." So even the devatas, they cannot just see Krishna. They actually, when Krishna was conceived, was in Devaki's womb, all the devatas used to come and wait and to see when will Krishna be born, and they used to offer prayers. So it's very difficult even for them to see. And then he says, The form you're seeing with your transcendental eyes cannot be understood simply by studying the Vedas, nor by undergoing serious penances, nor by charity, nor by worship. It is not by these means that one can see me as I am. So all these things, when it is done without aiming at Krishna, without trying to satisfy Krishna, are not enough to get the ability to see Krishna's form. And that is why everything has to be dovetailed with Krishna. That means whatever penances we are doing, whatever charity we are giving, should be given for promoting Krishna. Wherever preachers are, glorifying Krishna, or a temple is being built, so to glorify Krishna, books are being published for to promote Krishna's teachings. So if charity is given for Krishna, then you can be qualified, not by just worship, but it is not by these means that one can see me as I am. We have to, apart from this, Krishna will tell, only, my dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding. So we have a person who is convinced that Krishna is the origin of all forms. He is the origin of Narayana. He is the origin of all the different Narayana forms, thousands and varieties of forms. He is the supreme. So then what happens? Then he is so much in love with Krishna, he cannot, he's doing undivided devotional service to him, not putting his thoughts or in something else, but in serving Krishna. And last verse he says, no, only 252. Okay. Universal form for those who have no love for him. So universal form can be understood by pious people also with a little devotion. But to see Krishna in his two-handed form, it's very, very confidential, and one must have complete devotion, undivided devotion to him. Yeah, next slide. How we can attain Krishna. So we cannot see and understand Krishna's form by study, penances, charity, or worship. Only by undivided devotional service, free from karma and jnana, and working only for him. So, and there's, a karmi is controlling, karma yogi, he's controlling his senses and using his senses in the service of Krishna. And higher than that is a jnani. Karmi is someone who's he is engaging in sense gratification. Higher than that is the jnani, who can control his senses, but his mind is not controlled. And so he can also see Krishna. The yogi, he controls his mind also, so he can see the Paramatma form. And the bhakta, he is engaging in devotional service. So that is what, only when he can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So when we completely surrender our ego and engage in loving service to Krishna, that is the only qualification to be able to see Krishna. And also Krishna says, the last verse, my dear Arjuna, he who engages in my pure devotional service, free from the contaminations of fruitive activities and mental speculation, he who works for me, who makes me the supreme goal of his life, and who is friendly to every living being, he certainly comes to me. So, free from karma and jnana, working only for him, disassociate from those inimical to Krishna. So, we are supposed to anukulyena Krishnanushtilanam. We have to associate with things which are favorable, but we should disassociate from people who are inimical, because so that we don't get influenced or polluted by their consciousness. But a devotee is very kind. He approaches them to, so that they can also take up Krishna consciousness. And then he says, makes him the supreme goal of life and friendly to all. So devotee is friendly to everyone. Okay, he is intimate with other devotees because he wants to, because of Krishna, he wants to be focused on Krishna, but it doesn't mean that he neglects others. He's trying to give Krishna to everyone. So all these three verses which we read, this is the last verse, 55, Krishna is explaining to him how we can also see Krishna. He's saying this form is very difficult, but he also says how we can develop the quality to see him. Okay, next. Conclusion. So from this universal form, what become? Krishna is the source of the universal form and the four-armed form. So hence Krishna is the supreme. Sometimes there is a confusion. Who is the supreme? Is it Narayana or Krishna? Four-armed form or two-armed form? But here is completely, this universal form clears all kinds of doubts, because all the devatas are all there in his body. So there's no question of somebody being more, there's no confusion or controversies. And not only that, even Krishna shows the four-armed form. From the universal form, he goes to the four-armed form, and then he again backs to his original form, clearly proving that the original Supreme Personality of Godhead is Krishna. Okay, yes, next slide. And the important verse is 11.33. Tasmat tvam uttishta yasho labasva jitva shatrun bhunkshva rajyam samriddham mayaivaite nihata purvam eva nimitta matram bhava savyasachin. Tasmat tvam uttishta yasho labasva jitva shatrun bhunkshva rajyam samriddham mayaivaite nihrita purvam eva nimitta matram bhava savyasachin. Tasmat tvam uttishta yasho labasva jitva shatrun bhunkshva rajyam samriddham mayaivaite nihata purvam eva nimitta matram bhava savyasachin. Therefore, get up, prepare to fight and win glory, conquer your enemies and enjoy a flourishing kingdom. They are already put to death by my arrangement, and you, O Sabyasachi, can be but an instrument in the fight. Okay, next slide. So, the summary of this chapter. First, we saw Arjuna wishes to see the universal form of the Lord and begs his mercy. Krishna shows his universal form, though transcendental, is temporary. While sitting on the chariot, Arjuna could see in one place unlimited expansions of the universe because of the divine vision given by Krishna. And not only unlimited, he could see the past, present, and future, everything in one place. Then Arjuna describes the universal form. He's disturbed to see the frightening, all-destructive Kala Rupa form of time. To Arjuna's question, Krishna replies that he's time, and how everyone other than the Pandavas are already put to death, and requests him to be an instrument, fight and win the war. Arjuna's glorifying prayers to Krishna and is begging for forgiveness for his familiarity with Krishna. Arjuna requests to see the two-armed and the four-armed form. He establishes that Krishna is the supreme. Krishna can be understood only through devotional service. And the important verses are 11.33, 0.54, and 0.55. The last two verses and 11.33. Okay, next slide. Oh, there's no verse. Okay. So any questions? Any question? Let me see the chat. My voice was breaking.
No, Mataji, it was
No,
clear.
Mataji, it was
Okay.
clear.
Okay, how asuras become eligible to see Vishwarupa? Because of this thing. I mean, because when they're advanced in their yoga and tapasya, because they also do a lot of tapasya, they are also yogis, they also get mystic powers. So,
Hello.
so they were also
the class attend பண்ணிட்டு இருந்தேன் முடிஞ்சிருச்சு
given that vision. So, because they were there, I mean, Krishna, that is why from Brahmaloka right up to Patala Loka, Krishna is showing. And among those asuras, not that all asuras saw, some of them who had a little qualification could see. Like Prahlad Maharaj, like that, there might be some people, some devotees among them with a little devotion, and they could see. I hope I've answered the question of what exactly does transcendental mean. I said because it is transcendental because Krishna's eternal form was in that this thing. Yes, Sanjaya also able to see the Vishwarupa of the Lord. Yes. Okay. Any other questions?
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Rakesh here Mataji.
Yes.
Everyone, was the Vishwarupa shown only to the Arjuna or the other the other kings who are all there, Cynics, many warriors were there?
No, none of them could
see.
No, none of them were able to see. Only Arjuna in the battlefield. And they didn't even know what was happening between Arjuna and Krishna. They were just conversing something they didn't know. Though I think the other things they heard, but because he spoke amidst all of them, but the Vishwarupa was not shown to them.
Because when you were telling in the between, like while discussion was happening, where many asuras, they are afraid of seeing him and they were running away from the place.
Yes. No, not these asuras, not Duryodhana.
Okay. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
So I think everyone is looking forward to Janmashtami tomorrow. And so tomorrow, because we are all having different programs, I will continue with the 12th chapter on Thursday. So yeah, that's the announcement I want to give.
Mataji, we do have tomorrow the Bhagavad Gita class.
I'm going to talk about the entire Bhagavad Gita. We have our program. Earlier we thought that we'll have this as part of our program, but since many won't be attending, I'm going to talk of Bhagavad Gita, a synopsis of entire Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
And then what?
Mataji, do we use the same Zoom ID or like a different Zoom ID for the tomorrow class?
I thought this was the one going to be used. Now you are saying you have promoted the other one. What can I say?
We can inform all other who are here that we will be using a different.
Okay. If anyone would like to come between 8 and 9 when I'm talking of the Bhagavad Gita, or you're welcome to also come anytime you want. So the Zoom ID will be, can you share it, Amit Prabhu?
Yeah, Mataji, I will share it.
Yes, any other questions? Shall we close? Today I thought, because this is very clear, I think all the doubts are getting cleared now, isn't it?
Mataji,
there are so many questions. Yes.
Hare Krishna Mataji, I asked a question about that in the universal form, Arjuna could see Brahma So there are Brahmas from this universe only, or from other universes also? There are Brahmas present.
No, only this universe.
Okay. Thank you, Mataji.
Mother, I shared in the chat.
Okay, yeah, thank you. That is that is only for tomorrow. After that, from Thursday again the same link. Whatever this link. Yeah. Okay, I think more and more your doubts are cleared, isn't it? Bhagavad Gita is convincing you about many things, about how Krishna is the supreme and how we need to, his glories, and how we need to take shelter of him and concentrate on him and work for his pleasure. Anyone wants to share any realizations? Why Earth is not transcendental? What do you mean? Bhumi Devi is transcendental. Bhumi Devi, the external manifestation of Bhumi is the earth, that is material. But Bhumi Devi herself is transcendental. And Varaha Dev, came and lifted her from the nether regions, and so actually, and he married her also. And their son is only, what is that, a person, Narakasura, who is, became an Asura and he's killed, and that's how we celebrate Diwali. Yeah. What is that? Because Sanjaya is explaining the scene. Yeah, of course, Sanjaya saw the form. That is why he was explaining. Okay, we are able to link from one chapter to the other. Yes, it's a conversation, right? It is progressing. Okay. Okay. Earth is also transcendental because of Bhumi Devi. Yes.
Above there is a question, because Sanjaya is explaining the scene to Dhritarashtra, will he see universal form too? There was a question above.
Yes, he saw it. That is why he was explaining. Okay. All right. So the next chapter is very, very interesting. 12th chapter is about devotional service, and it is the essence of the Bhagavad Gita. And amazing how then all our doubts, because some people were asking, why is it that we have, we don't have just one method of worship? Why we have, so many different types, and all this confusion is there. And then through devotional service, you can understand how Krishna is so magnanimous and so accommodating, and he wants us to progress towards his pure devotional service. So, okay, and see that. And so that is very nectarian chapter. So we look forward to meeting you, and we are having these discussions on Thursday. Till then, have a very happy Janmashtami, and let this Janmashtami is going to be very meditative, not so active, because we're not meeting and cooking prasadam together, serving and all those things, dancing, singing. It is all on Zoom, and the whole day. But it can be very meditative, because instead of we can focus, think of Krishna more, and take part in all the activities. So happy Janmashtami. Very good.
Thank you, and wish you the same, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Hare Krishna, Happy Janmashtami.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Happy Janmashtami to all.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Happy Janmashtami to all.
Happy Janmashtami to all. Hare Krishna.
Mataji.